Welcome into the archives, where we dive into games long forgotten in our Steam libraries to find gems hidden within. Dwarves. These walking bricks are known for mining, crafting, and being small. Very terrible accents.
I'm Shrek.
Head-on attitude, and bravery to a point of stupidity. I'm not the only one who loves these bearded people, so thanks to the circumstances just lining up, we are going to explore multiple entries of a small section of the archives that involve dwarves in the next few episodes. Starting with a more recent game called Hammerting. So without further ado, let's see what this game has to offer. Hammerting is a colony builder very much like Oxygen Not Included, where at the start you get a set of characters with a range of low-level skills and a chunk of decent supplies to get your hot mess of a colony into reality. You do this by digging up your mountain to gather up resources, add more dwarves to help with the workload, have resource management to ensure the hold is always producing what it needs for its growth and trade. And trading with the overworld to gather resources and trade points to also help your hold. Building rooms, chests, and protection for your people. Slowly building your hold to be the next crafting powerhouse the world has ever seen, because they are too busy killing each other. And if they dare to try to invade me, I will give them some good dwarven licorice, and they will be willing to abandon their allies to join my alliance. Because you can't murder them, but you can get them to murder each other. All jokes aside, I feel the circumstances surrounding Hammerting are an important detail to discuss. Hammerting was released as early access back in 2020, with updates expanding the game until its official release in November 2021. Following the release, we had two major quality of life patches that did a wide variety of things to help improve the overall gameplay and acted as mini expansions. The most recent patch was released before I began playing and reviewing. The developers have now mentioned that they are now done with any major expansions or patches other than critical bug fixing. So what I've experienced is basically what one could consider the final product, which sadly I feel is a problem. Not to say that the game is bad, it just feels incomplete. My initial review was more hopeful and excited until I learned about the developers pulling away from the project, which makes me feel like a stereotypical dad line. I'm not mad, just disappointed. As this game has a good foothold, a nice foundation of a really great game when you first enter. You see all the stats, traits, and skills your dwarves can learn. Tech tree expanding production to not just blacksmithing and mining, but also tailorings, brewings, arcana, and various other things. Seeing different ores that can have different effects on items you create with. Trading with the overworld is a must, and you can affect one civilization's productivity and effectiveness by how you invest and trade. The mountain has many things to find within that encourages you to go out and explore. So far, I'm sold. How do you start unlocking all these technologies and interesting things? Well, first you need two major resources called mountain lore and trade lore. I love this actually. Mountain lore is gained by exploring the mountain to find landmarks, bits of old civilization, and different biomes. It can also be gained by doing certain quests that you get at the start, and as you explore more of the mountain that all give a nice boost. Trade lore is gained by, well, trading with other civilizations. You can also complete small delivery quests at locations for a nice boost in trade lore as well. So basically, your mountain lore is learning from the past and your dwarves figuring things out themselves, while trade lore is influenced by outside cultures. I find that a fun and intriguing way to have research done. With both of these, you begin to unlock new rooms and ways to have your civilization expand, giving you access to new resources and ways to use them. So what is the disappointment? All this sounds pretty good. The actual colony building and crafting of items, it's not bad. It's definitely serviceable enough. Well, quite frankly for me, the biggest reason for headache is the AI and the overworld. The AI struggles with its build queues and digging and job allocation. You'll be digging a lot in Hammerting. I mean, you live in a mountain as a dwarf. Of course there's going to be a lot of digging. The problem is the AI struggles with how it wants to clear out an area that isn't a perfect square or rectangle. Even then, it struggles sometimes. Dwarves will often dig themselves into situations where they make it impossible to dig up the rest of the area that you set up to be mined, or will cause themselves to fall to their doom.
How could this happen to me? I made my mistakes.
They even struggle with a straight line. Literally, just had this long extended bridge to allow me to access some copper. Then instructing my dwarves to tear it down. You would think it'd be smart enough to remove from right to left since there's no more pathway on the right side. Or even left to right, but then fall to their doom in the end. However, the dwarves broke down the bridge in weird segments, causing it to be impossible to reach half of the bridge, and some would end up being stuck on a single segment to then destroy and fall. Same thing goes for any scaffolding going up and down. They would literally leave floating scaffolding that if I wanted to get rid of, I would have to rebuild what I just had, and then have to instruct them to destroy the tower one segment at a time. Not fun, by the way. If dwarves share jobs such as digging, hauling, sometimes they will be running all over the place to do a little digging here, but then run back to the other side to pick up some coal and place it in a chest, then goes back to some digging. Maybe. Then when you look away, they may be running to do something else. I swear it's trying to herd cats. And trust me, I know what that's about. I have 3. What about the other jobs? The micromanaging of what each dwarf specializes in. You have access to a tool called the Job Broker to assign favorite duties to certain dwarves and disable duties as well. You would think if a dwarf has a job favorited, they would be a higher priority than one who doesn't have it favorited. Well, if it doesn't feel like it. If a dwarf can do the job, it will seemingly select randomly with no care who has it favorited to do the job. See, I would be fine with this if a higher priority dwarf takes over after they finish the task they were in the middle of doing, but it doesn't. The reason this is important is because they gain experience in these jobs that makes them more efficient. So you want your main builder to be always improving. You have to restrict dwarves into one-trick ponies and enslave them to a single job and disable them from being able to do anything else, which isn't really efficient, especially we have a huge mountain to dig. The game also bugs you anytime a dwarf isn't doing something. Look, I didn't mean to make this off to be a vent piece, but I feel like when you're dealing with a colony simulator, AI is huge. If you're having to babysit every little thing, you'll get nothing done and make the overall gameplay bogged down. I was also super excited for Hammerting. I really wanted to fall in love with it. I still don't even hate it. It just feels like it just didn't go far enough to be a satisfying experience, which leads me to the overworld. The main 2 goals of the game rely on you either making so much money that you get economic victory, or you manage to convince everyone to stop fighting and get along with some candy. To do so, you have to interact with the world above. Well, how does the world above work? Starting off, you can't see all of it. You need to trade with one settlement you can see, and by doing so will reveal more of the map. Doing that will allow you to see more towns and races from all over. Now, the thing is, there is no difference between the races. No specializations, no bonuses, or anything. The only thing that decides what a town sells is its type. Like a lumber village will sell wood, farms will make food, even if a race looks like they don't even eat. Not only do these races share a blandness and personality, they also like to wage war on each other. All the time! As you start playing Hammerting, nations will begin to wage war on each other, starting alliances, getting angry at others because they're in a different alliance, getting angry at you because you're doing nothing to them and you're not in their alliance, which makes them very angry. And no, you cannot join any alliance. What you can do is feel like you're influencing the war. By giving weapons or building supplies, you can increase the might or defense of a town or city, which means they should be able to fight back and win. However, as I've noticed, this doesn't really affect the overall outcome of wars unless you're dumping resource into it, which I have better things to use my stuff for. Also, if you just ignore what's going on upstairs, the most that happens is some places can't trade because they have been ransacked. Also, occasionally, you'll be declared war on, which you'll have a few bad guys show up to your door, which sounds bad, but like, you can kill them with a starter bronze weapons, no problem on normal. So it's not really a big deal. You can influence the diplomatic viewpoints of races to each other and to you by spending trade lore, but it's such a waste and you need it for research. Especially since they'll start to hate you later. There are no events to give any kind of life for the overworld. It's just very dull and boring. The only way to even have a race to be on your side is to reach the endgame research to unlock Dwarven Licorice, that when you make 10 of will allow you to pacify a single race to be on your side, if they hold you at an esteemed status. I want to talk more about the game, however, it's been way too long since my last review and I really need to move on. So did I enjoy Hammerting? It's okay. I want to love the game. I really do. However, when playing it, I just can't shake the feeling at how much potential this game had for it not to reach it. The fan base that have been around since the beginning seem to like it a lot, but also agree that it's very much a love-hate relationship. Currently is standing at roughly $25. I would say wait until sale and keep your expectations low. There are definitely more things I could talk about this game and what was disappointing about it as well, but quite frankly, we can just boil it down to it's an okay colony sim that is a little friendly to people who are not used to colony sims. And the really nice thing is the community. They're friendly and very supportive. So if you want to give this game a shot, most definitely make sure you visit their Discord and Reddit. Sad to say, our dwarves are not on a good start, but we have 2 more dwarven games we will go through, both of which are RPGs, one being 2D pixel and the other one being more 3D. I can't wait to try them out. Sorry for the long delay on my video, guys. I blame Final Fantasy XIV for wanting to consume all of my time. I wanted to work more on this video, but I feel like if I kept sitting on it, it would take so much longer to finish. So I hope that you guys enjoy what I had today, and then I can do better in the next video. But until then, enjoy the archives.